Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 42 of the Talking with the Dad podcast this evening. We have a number of fucking topics that are going to get us murdered, probably. Steve, I like that. And, well, here we are, buddy. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Here in the last days, the apocalypse of Talking with a Dad, the last voice of reason, the last place you can go to hear news that's unbiased and unpartisan. You know why? Mostly because we're not allowed in either political or party. I just like
to have fun, man. I like to make fun of all the situations. If you can't, dude, it becomes so depressing. Like,
dude, we should go to one of the debates. Like, imagine
we should go to a rally.
We break into the press conference like, oh, it's Steve here from Talking with a Dad. I'm sorry, who are you with?
Steve here. I'd like to ask you, what is your opinion if you were to be stuck on an island? Would you want top half fish or bottom half fish mermaid, sir?
Yeah, bottom half, of course.
Thank you. That's okay. Putting that down.
We're getting ready. We do have some dark web topics going on. Try not to keep it somber.
We don't ever lead off with a topic, right? We don't ever lead off with a topic. You know, have you had any good food recently? I have a food story, a little bit of a food story. Have you had any delicious food? Your wife's a very good cook.
Yeah, actually, you know what's crazy? So this is the second time she's made it, and it was amazing the first time, but it was bomb tonight. She made from scratch hamburger helper.
Oh, okay.
Without any using the crappy stuff that comes in the end. And man, I had 3 bowls of that.
Hamburger helper, like the hamburger with the macaroni, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We had pasta with it, and it was. I gotta tell you. Literally at one point my body shut me down because if I'd have ate one more bowl and I kept doing that thing where like I'm talking to myself trying to figure out how I'm gonna get away with eating another bowl. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna have one more bowl over here.
You're trying to justify it to yourself to make sure your brain is like, all right, well, we're gonna have one more bowl. All right, we're into this.
One more bowl. But yeah, I had that, and then we had salmon the other night, and then it's been good. What's your food story?
Well, it was my turn to cook the other evening. And I did my signature pan-seared scallops. Oh, delicious, dude. Absolutely delicious. I'm the best cook that I know, and it's a wide margin. And I don't, why would I need to know anyone else if I can cook so well?
President Trump voice. If you're going to go
No. That voice is used very sparingly. It was really good. It came out really well. Had some good scallops and.
Now, did you pour any wine in there? Would you
see? I don't have any cooking wine handy, but I'm not a wine guy. What I do is do like half a stick of butter, do that, and then when I get the first set of scallops in, I cut a lemon in thirds because I use it for something else. I use it in rice, but I cut the third and I cut that in half, and then I squeeze that in. And then flip them, take them out. They're like 45 seconds each. Scallops are super easy to cook. And then I do a second batch, and then I do more lemonade, which is butter and lemon basting with a little bit of salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of onion.
I love scallops, man. The scallops is right next to shrimp, where it's like if there's an all-you-can-eat safe type of situation, they're gonna have to stop me from the shrimp and the scallops. Like if they keep bringing it to the table, and they're like, you have to pay for what you don't eat. I'm like, I guess I'm not paying. Because I'm going to
have you ever been to an all-you-can-eat sushi place that does that?
Yeah, in California.
Yeah. Well, I've been to one in Connecticut, but dude, that I did not know that was the rule, and I ordered an absurd amount of sushi, and then read the thing on the bottom where it was like fine print. It was like, and you'll pay by the pound for what you can't eat, and if you eat half, if you leave one piece of a roll left, to pay for the entire roll. And I'm like, ha! I ordered 12 rolls. Ate all of them.
Later on that night, you had mercury poisoning.
I died. Like, I actually died. Now we're here talking about fucking cooking scallops.
Me and my buddies came back after a day at Venice Beach, or it was like Venice or Hermosa, one of the two. But we had made our way over to the Santa Monica.
One is way better than the other.
Well, most definitely.
Yeah.
But we had made our way over to the promenade, basically. I believe that's what it's called. 3rd Street Promenade, yes.
And the outdoor shopping mall.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been there.
And then once upon a time, I had been to a sushi place over in that area, but like most places like that, the businesses are constantly shifting. So
Yeah.
we're walking around for a few minutes looking for the place, couldn't find it, so we had to go to Thousand Oaks, and we found an all-you-can-eat sushi place. Man, it's like 5 dudes, and we wrecked that place, dude. Like they were like, we got there just in time for the lunch special, which could have been dangerous. When I was reading, I was like, what does this mean exactly? Like, where are we at in the transition of the serving of food? But $25 a head, and we murdered it. Absolutely murdered it.
Absolutely, dude. What's crazy to me is like, and you don't know this until like you actually like look into like owning a restaurant. But most restaurants close like legitimately within the first year, right?
Yeah.
Like restaurants do not last more than like the first year or so, and it's sad, dude. Because like maybe one of my dreams was like opening a fucking a restaurant because I like to cook and I don't know, I like business, but that shit is such a bad idea.
Dude, my good buddy owns a restaurant in Brooklyn. Him and another friend of mine called Coda. Shout out to Coda. Chicken Wing Tuesdays and Pats on Tuesdays. I don't know if they're back open yet, but I gotta tell you honestly, man, it's hard to watch people go through the business and but they've managed to stay afloat.
How long have they been open?
I think they just passed like the 3 or 4 year mark.
Yeah, dude. Once you hit about 5 years, I think like you're pretty much open for good. Right, that's from what I've heard. You're not profitable for the first year. If you make it out of the first year, year 2 is even harder, and then past that, like you're usually pretty good.
Yeah, ask the guys from the meatball shop. That was like a huge deal for a while, and now it's not that. Obviously, nothing's a big deal right now, but not that big of a deal anymore, dude. Speaking of difficult, sad things.
Oh man, you're gonna do some sort of transition here that I like. Go ahead.
Like just talking about like puppies dying, kittens falling out of trees.
What?
I want to set the frame for what Kanye West's campaign rally was like. So
he pulled out already, didn't he?
Oh no, he still had a rally though. He paid the $35,000 or whatever it was, and I forget where the rally was. But there's video on the internet, and that's the most important thing. And to go along with that video, there were tweets of the poor Yeet when he was talking about making claims that Kim and her mother were on their way down there to lock him up, which rightfully so. Look, mental health is nothing to laugh about. Here's the problem with the Kanye West situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of people who
it was in Charleston, by the way. It was in Charleston.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who want to use him as some type of figurehead about black conservatives, and that's cool, man. Like, there's a lot more of that happening nowadays. But the problem with using someone like Kanye is you can't really use him as a foundational speaker for your movement because he's dealing with these underlying issues, right? And when he's not dealing with them appropriately, he's bound to go into a manic state. Anyone that's ever dealt with anyone in a manic state understands that, like, it's about maintenance and patience with someone that deals with that level of mental health, right? You want to be encouraging them to be talking to their physicians. You want to be encouraging them to take their medications and reporting anything that's going on weird with their medications. If they feel diminished and or they feel like there's a chance that they would abuse them or just straight up not take them. What's sad is that I believe that Kim Kardashian really loves this man, which is a huge turning point for her, right? Like, I've never seen her stick with someone like the way she sticks with Kanye. So there's a real love there. It's sad to watch him go through this publicly because at some points he's lucid, and I almost understand the points that he's making.
Sure,
but then he starts to slip back into the ether, and it's sad to watch. So he was talking about gun control, topics like abortion, how.
Standard run-of-the-mill political campaign topics for sure.
Right, and at one point, he had a military-grade bulletproof vest on, I believe, or some body armor of some sort, or mock version thereof.
It was a bulletproof vest, but
to
say it's military grade, there's so many bylaws and things that you have to like actually adhere to make that sure that's military grade. But for sure, it was in a bulletproof vest for sure.
Yeah, and he's I don't know what the organizers. I thought once everything started to disintegrate, folks We're not going to link it down in our channel because I don't know how much longer it's going to be up on YouTube, and I don't know what the type of smoke. But if you do a quick Google search, quite possibly some of the saddest stuff I've ever seen. And to be completely honest with you, man, I'm stuck in a joking debate with a friend of mine, other than Zach. This is another person I debate with. Zach and I don't really debate so much as we throw punches and kick each other when we disagree.
That's about it.
But I was trying to explain to him. He's like, I'm like, Kanye's not exposing anything other than the fact that he needs help, right? I would be more inclined to listen to anything he said when he's lucid. Like, man, as long as he's doing good. But I'm the type of person that doesn't want to kick him when he's down. But we got to keep him. They should. His family has to, like. We're looking at something like conservatorship at this point, where someone gets a legal hold on you, where they can make medical and financial decisions for you.
You think he's that far gone?
I think he's a few steps away, man. But like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a clinician, but I know that I've had to go kick in a few doors and drag people out who were in this state before, and it's always ended the same exact way: a 3-week stay in a mental health clinic while they get themselves together. I've never seen someone be allowed to publicly speak on these subjects and be praised for it, and no one addressed the underlying issue. Now, again, what happens at home with his wife, I'm positive, if she loves the man, it's got to come up in conversation, right?
Yeah, so I would imagine
it's friggin' sad, bro. It's absolutely, I don't know what to do. And like, people, here's the thing, right? So at one point, Fox News, the most reliable source of news in America, they were just like all over the Kanye thing. And Ben Shapiro famously said, you live by the ye, you die by the ye. And the minute he started saying something crazy, it's like the conservatives jump ship, right?
Yeah. It's like, people are so quick and so, I mean, gung-ho, I guess is the right word, to put someone up in a political and overall manner and just worship these people and don't really know what they're getting behind, right? Like, if you, especially the conservatives who probably don't know Kanye other than his like public stunts, right? But like, clearly you do, and I know a little bit about Kanye in his career and as a producer and a rapper and such, that you don't trust someone that clearly is going through some sort of mental health crisis. It's clear, right? Whether it's he's definitely swings between depressive and manic states fairly regularly. You could kind of see that, but someone who's a loose handle essentially, as much as Kanye is, you can't really prop them up and give them the platform almost, right? You can't really do that. It's unfortunate. You need to make sure that this person is well before we give him any sort of, dreams of a political office or dreams of a following, really. And it's unfortunate, right? Yeah. Old Kanye, music wise, is amazing, right? As far as being a producer and a rapper and whatnot, but his work as being a producer is maybe some of the cleanest and some of the nicest beats and tracks and mastering of music that I've ever seen, right? The guy has a complete and utter like knack for music, and to see him outside of that, and he probably doesn't have anything to focus on right now, so his mental state is allowed to do and wander and be as it pleases, that it's really depressing to see.
What's crazy is I give him props too for his business acumen, because he at one point declared that he was not, I don't think he said he was bankrupt, but he said he owed quite a bit of money, and now he's a bona fide liquid billionaire. Like, I did not. He said that right before he was declared a billionaire too, though. It was within months of each other. It was within months of each other. I don't know what his investments were and what he invested in. I feel like he has invested in some really early tech startup, but that could also be Chamillionaire, maybe, was like a tech mogul or something. One of those like weird obscure rappers was like a fucking tech mogul. Chamillionaire.
Yeah. Right? Is that the guy that is? Am I right on that? Who had who had invested in maybe not Beats, but some headphone company startups and made money off of it, right? 50 Cent invested in vitamin water and made $500 or $600 million off of vitamin water or something. So a lot of these guys get opportunities that the average day person don't because they have money. But he very well could have turned debt to $1 billion in a year, but I don't believe it as much as my co-host Steven here does.
Here's the thing, right? So I'm gonna make a long point, and then I'm gonna take a shot at someone, and we're all gonna go, oh snap. So before to go off of Zach's point, before you start propping someone up as your political show doll, right? You should probably see if they actually conform to the ideologies you share in that political party. So Kanye does not I don't actually think Kanye qualifies as a classical conservative or a contemporary conservative because he's not conservative in value. And he's most certainly, maybe he's conservative fiscally, but he's more socially conscious. So he would be somewhere in between the middle where he's more of a modern day conscious. We would have to make a new category for him because he wants to deal with things in the community, right?
You lose me at when you start classifying different types of conservative. This is how little
Here's the thing, Zach. I made up all these terms. Someone that's Mears is probably sitting at home with his political science degree. That's not how you say that. That's how we say it. Man.
You very well could be, and I don't fucking know. I can't refute any of it.
This goes to your point, right? The guy doesn't even believe the same things that you believe, and he can't articulate those points. I usually believe it's action, belief, and articulation of belief that you can really start to judge the fruit of something.
Sure.
So with that said, Kanye does have a lot of great stuff that he wants to do in Chicago. He wants to deal with the gun violence within his own community, the city he grew up in. He wants to help people get into college, give the opportunity to small businesses.
It's the same shit that LeBron's doing, right?
Yeah, basically. So here's the problem with
LeBron's doing it and he's not. Okay.
So yeah, LeBron's doing it and
Kanye is talking about doing it.
Kanye's struggling, but people want to prop him up. So if we're going to deal with Kanye, we also have to deal. This is a bit of a straw man, but here it comes. I almost feel like this is parallel to the Joe Biden situation, right? And the Democrats are sitting there man, this is the best thing that happened to us, right?
The only hope is that if Kanye can actually run, people are dumb enough to vote for him, and it splits the vote from him and Trump, and someone else gets in. That's the only hope, right? But
I mean, at this point, he can't even run. But it's I feel like the same thing is happening with Joe Biden, right? I feel like that he's a shell of I don't want to call him a great man, but a man who has served in office for many, many years. You could say a lot about Joe's political beliefs and what he's done historically, but you got to give him the respect that he's been in the fight for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
Whatever side you fall on that. But now we got a different type of Joe, right? We got a Joe that enjoys the balloons that comes down from the ceiling at the events. Maybe stares a little bit longer than he should.
Are you saying that Joe Biden is becoming mentally deficient in his old age and easily amused?
No. So that's ageism. You can't say anything like that. I'm saying that Joe Biden, just take a quick look at his mannerisms, and this is a man that they said
that he might have some sort of age-related memory and cognitive ability issues.
All right, so
is this what you're saying, Stephen? I feel like you're being very offensive to this man. He's not even here to defend himself.
Listen, I'm down in the basement, and when your political team tells you, hey, Joe, best thing for your campaign, we're going to do all this stuff in the basement of your house from now on. There's something to that.
He's a 79-year-old man that needs to, worry about the COVID.
He's got to worry about the COVID and going off track, too. But
he does trail off. He's 77. I was wrong on his age, but, he does kind of trail.
You're independent politically, correct?
Correct.
Oh yeah, so you and I will be round up last when they put a gun to our head for our votes.
Like I said, I can't vote in fucking in primaries. It's annoying.
I can't vote either, and thank God I can't vote in primaries.
I mean, not that I would. I voted in the last presidential election, but the last one. Yeah, the last one. Yeah.
I won't put your feet to the fire because I know where your vote went without you even telling me.
Do you?
Yeah, you strike me as a guy that's I'd rather burn my vote than vote for these two.
No, you would be wrong. I voted against Trump.
You voted against Trump?
Absolutely. The Lord and Savior. Sorry. I voted against the Lord and Savior.
Whoa. That is the prophet.
I was wondering, there was one of two ways I could have went. You could have been like, no. Or yes.
His Majesty, His Royal Orange Highness. Listen, so like just to wrap up the Kanye thing, the tweets have been deleted since, but my wife being the hound for this type of stuff that she is, she got me everything. Like she found me all the original undoctored tweets and
oh really, like screenshots and stuff. That's amazing.
And it's man, like it goes as far as Kanye saying stuff like on my I don't even want to give him a direct quote. He's like on my word, everyone knows that that movie Get Out is about me. My kid will never have a sex tape. Blah blah blah.
Holy shit.
A shot at Kris Jenner, like you better stay away from you're not allowed around my kids, and you keep that Kanye or something like that. I guess that's what they call her boyfriend, Kanye. It's craziness, man. But yeah, that's our third candidate, folks. So everyone,
ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be writing myself in for president, even though I'm not old enough to officially run politically. But I'll get myself one vote in there, and say that I did it. That I did it.
Once COVID wipes out the great generation, anyone's going to be able to run for office. After Trump, the precedent has been set. You don't need to know anything about politics to get into politics.
Well, I mean, Reagan was the same way, right?
Yeah, but no, Reagan had served in lower government. I think he was a congressman or a senator
before
he became the president.
But he was also a movie star, right? Let's be fair.
He was the movie star. You know what's great about Reagan historically, right? 1 minute they'll find something great about him, and then the next minute they'll find something horrible about him. Like he went both ways.
Both ways.
Not sexually, folks. We're not throwing that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I was never around the man. He died in 2004. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that feels like forever ago. That's 16 years ago, dude. Holy shit. I was 8.
My most active in 2004, man. I was having a good time.
I was 8. I was playing baseball, and that's it.
All right, man. Let's get out of here. You did you well. I can't. Tell me about topic 1 you got here, Zach. You always get the good stuff from.
Oh man. So I dive deep in for these things, and I do a lot of research weekly. I mean hourly before the podcast comes up. To get these items here. This is not like a huge topic, but not even anything really substantial, but some data miners went in and found some information on the new Call of Duty that's coming out. Really, it was just names of potential maps and zombies maps and maybe some areas in the campaign, but really not much more than that. It really, it shows that the majority of the game is based in and around Russia, with some being in the US, some being in Central and South America, but really nothing more than that that I saw. And I read through the entire article or whatever, so nothing crazy. But they do this every year, right? We haven't had an announcement on Call of Duty yet. My prediction, you guys hear it here first. The Xbox conference on the 23rd, I think it is. I'm gonna look it up on my 23rd on Thursday.
Okay.
There will be a Call of Duty announcement. That's my thought, and I think they're going to partner back with Microsoft potentially. I think the next-gen consoles are coming out. It's usually about when the contract of exclusivity comes up. So I think they're going to be partnering back with Microsoft, and that's kind of usually the way they go. They go back and forth. Actually, do you know about this? They partner with Microsoft, and they actually right now they're partnered with Sony. Generally, the content comes out there a month early. The League is played on that, right? So the League is played on PS4 right now, whereas last generation was on Xbox 360. So that's where we're sitting with that right now. My guess would be there will be an announcement for that. There'll also be a Halo announcement for sure. Halo Infinite, right. The new Halo game, will be announced, or at least we'll get some information on it at the Xbox conference, but we haven't seen anything about Call of Duty this year other than some slight data mining.
So let me unpack. Let me see if you can unpack some of that for me. So in regards to the partnership with Microsoft and then going to Sony, how does that affect the actual players? Does that mean like I would have to play on PS4 1 year and potentially play on Xbox?
Potentially, if you wanted the content
deal breaker.
If you wanted the content early, right? So right now, when a DLC is released, I actually don't think it's really that case anymore. Actually, this Call of Duty, they got some special survival game that no one gives a fuck about. But they get like the DLCs a month early on PlayStation or Xbox, depending on where the allegiance lies, right? But really, it doesn't really matter that much. I pulled up the article with all the potential multiplayer maps in, but it's very vague. Black Sea, Cartel, KGB, Miami, Moscow, Satellite, Tank, Tundra. You know, I can't really derive anything from this other than the fact that Moscow, Tundra, KGB will probably be snow maps. I actually really like snow maps in Call of Duty.
Okay.
But, you know, that's about it. There's already confirmed that Firing Range, Nuketown, Summit, and maybe another map will be back in this Call of Duty that came out 10 years ago now. They've been recycling those in every Black Ops game up to this point. So we'll see where that goes. You know, again, not very sure. I really do think that we're going to get an announcement on Thursday, because it's right here. It all stems from a release of an alpha build for Call of Duty 2020, which was discovered on Xbox servers last week. So it makes me think that we're going to get an Xbox announcement, we're going to get an announcement for Call of Duty with the Xbox announcement. We're like, I don't even know. Black Ops 4 was fully unveiled in May of 2018. This year, Modern Warfare was revealed in May, right? So hopefully we'll get something. You know, I'm always excited for the new Call of Duty. As much as I say I'm going to hate it, I'm always excited for it.
Yeah, well, you're a real fan, man. Like, listen, I'm excited for most of the things I love in life, and today disappoint me. Are you drinking a Monster?
Yeah.
Dude, it's freaking 10:51 at night, man.
I like to be my best, the best version of myself for these shows, Steven. I take this very seriously.
Good point, man. good point. Dude, so, but my question before was actually, let me be more specific.
Sure.
So, what does that mean for the COD League? So, if the partnership is Sony,
we don't
one
know.
year, that oh my,
and it's
goodness,
not yearly; it's per generation, right?
Oh my God.
We're not sure if it goes back to Xbox. I'm not sure when the contract expires. I think it's this game, right? I used to be more up to date on this. But if next generation, it's they're partnered with Microsoft, then the game will be the league will be played on Xbox.
Dude, I can't imagine. So we didn't actually do our what are you playing lately? I've been playing Assassin's Creed with this remote, right? But now this is because it's only connected to my. Oh, I like your Xbox remote better.
I do too. I'm sorry, but my PlayStation remote matches your Xbox remote.
There you go. Now I could plug a PlayStation into my PC and play that way, but
you would have to download PS4 tool and do it. But the Xbox controller is just easier to do on a console or on a Xbox.
Yeah, on a PC.
PC, thank you. That's the fucking word I was trying.
But I can't imagine having to play COD with this thing. But I know there's some pretty sick COD players out there.
All the pros play on a controller.
You know, I know, but I can't imagine them playing on an Xbox controller, right? But it's
cross-platform. Where they play.
It's got to be.
That's where they play.
Oh my goodness.
What I hope is if it goes back to Microsoft, I'm sorry, you had a bigger point here, I'm sure, is that they go to PC with a controller. That's where I hope the COD League goes next. That means they can have better developed servers. The PC version of the game will be better developed. That's what I hope. That's what I hope we get. There's also a rumor that this game isn't going to be on the Blizzard app like the other ones. They're switching the platform again, going to the Microsoft store.
That would be much better.
That would be way worse. What are you talking about?
No, I hate the Blizzard app, man. It's never done anything wrong to me. It's not sucking up resources.
I love the Blizzard app. I have many reasons, but
it looks like old school malware. Like I clicked on something in LimeWire and that thing pops up and it's about to show me stuff I don't want to see.
Yeah, the 8-year-old does not want to see what's happening.
Well, here's the thing, man, about the datum. Oh, I had another question about this, right?
Go ahead.
So we got some vague descriptions about the maps. If they do make an announcement for the, to be on the Series X, I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole thing, right? We've done a lot of coverage on the Series X and the PlayStation 5.
Sure.
Now we can do more coverage on the PlayStation 5 now that we know what it actually looks like, yada, yada, yada. But I just want to know how the game's going to be optimized for the new consoles, man, specifically for the Xbox Series X, because it is going to be the more powerful console, and what that gameplay is going to be like on there.
So here's the thing of Call of Duty. This is why Call of Duty is amazing every single year. Not amazing, but the technology behind Call of Duty is amazing. It will run at 60 frames per second all of the time, and the netcode will be good. That's it. That's Call of Duty's core mechanics right there, is always 60 frames per second, even back to the Xbox 360, right? Where it couldn't run anything else at 60 frames per second. Call of Duty always runs at 60 frames per second on both platforms. It's not going to make a difference.
Okay. We got to go on a bit of a trail bender here.
Okay. Do we want to do the what have we been playing recently?
No.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. You've been playing Assassin's Creed. How are you enjoying Assassin's Creed?
No, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about I want to talk about the Xbox Series X and Seagate doing their little releaser for the expansion drive on there.
Okay.
Which, by the way, they call proprietary in their partnership with Microsoft. So if you're reading the language for this thing, man, I want to know how much this thing is going to cost because it's like the build up for it on the website and the website just for that one component.
Okay.
What do you guess? It's 1 terabyte, right? And it's supposed to be 1 terabyte NVMe, PCI Express. I don't know how that works. If it plugs into an external port, I'm not understanding. I'm sure there's a smarter mind, and they'll be able to. Just go, this is how it works. Go for it. You're the smarter mind.
I'll explain to you how it works. I can't see the way that it connects in, but if you put it in some sort of protective case, but the bottom is still an NVMe / PCIe hard drive, then you could plug it in essentially to the outside with a ribbon extender, right? So the way that it would work is that there would be
going right in the back.
It's going to plug into the back, right? Like so you could visibly see it on the outside. Right. So there's going to be a ribbon extender inside that's connected to the board and then put up to the side of the case where you could just click in, and it'll essentially work as a USB extender or something. That's how it would work. Yeah, you could do that with graphics cards too. You could do PCI Express extension ribbons so that if you want your graphics card to sit a certain way in your case, you could actually do that by using an extension ribbon.
Are you on the site right now?
I am on the Seagate site. Yeah, it doesn't really show anything. That would be my best guess. But I'm reading through it a little bit, and I can see where it says it plugs in the back, and it looks way bigger in one side versus where the image it looks like in the back. But that would be my guess, is that there's a ribbon connector inside that is used as an extension to the PCIe port on the board of some sort, for sure.
What do you think? So the capacity is going to be 1 terabyte. Mm-hmm. What do you think this is going to cost?
$400
for that thing alone.
It's a terabyte NVMe SSD, Steve. I can look up what an actual terabyte NVMe SSD costs. Let's see. I'm going on Amazon. 1 terabyte NVMe. I don't know if it's going to find me anything. Maybe no. Okay, maybe it won't be. A terabyte NVMe, the 970 Evo M.2 is $180. So let's say it'll cost $150 for a terabyte SSD expansion. That's not bad.
That's not bad. You know what we lose in all of this? Upgradability. PlayStation is officially moving away from upgradability.
We'll never get it with consoles.
Huh?
We'll never get upgradability in consoles.
No. With the PlayStation, you could at least update the drive. That's it. That's all you could update. But you could update it to an SSD. Yeah, But now that's gone too. But with this is, I don't know, Zach, man. I never thought I was going to live this long, and now this stuff is starting to creep me out, man. Memory cards are making a full comeback. That's a memory card.
I was literally going to say, it looks exactly like a memory card that I used to have for my PS2. I wish I still had one of them laying around. They were so fun.
Oh man, the original hacks, which I never participated in, and I am not incriminating myself on anything. If Sony is listening, I've never modded any of your systems. But the original hacks,
like the Game Sharks or whatever.
No, the homebrew. So we're gonna go a little bit deeper than Game Shark. One of the first homebrews you could do, you would load onto a memory card for a PS2, and you would just keep your fingers like this because you could click on it sometimes and it would say corrupt. Other times you would be able to load that.
Well, that was most things with the PS2 though.
And then other times you would click on it, and that'd be the last time that PlayStation ever turned on.
Holy shit. Wow, it was that bad, huh? Yeah, I was never into that, dude. I was never into that at all. When I played PS2, I just wanted to play Tony Hawk.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I'm psyched for this Xbox Expo. I just want to see what else they're going to bring to the table. They got a little catching up to do because I called this a little while ago, man, in regards
Mm-hmm.
to this whole PlayStation and Xbox thing. I was like, Xbox came out with a lot of information, and usually with marketing, that means that there's something that the other team has where they're like, hey, we got to get out in front. We got to give the best impression about it. It's amazing that Sony comes in with the weaker console on paper. Not much weaker, but a few teraflops behind.
They always have. Go ahead.
Yep, always have. And yet again, somehow, the buzz factor around it, after waiting months for the reveal, was widely received very warmly. People loved it, or there were some people who did hate the way
the console wars essentially is what I'm going to refer to them as. Never made sense to me, right?
No.
I always bought the console where my friends were going to play, right?
That's
you
it.
know, and when I switched to PC, I paved the way for, you know, all of my friends to be, you know, all two of them to be PC players after that. So, you know, you pick the platform your friends are going to be on, right? And that's what most people do. Why? It doesn't matter. You know, the Xbox is always going to be statistically the more powerful console, but what does that mean, right? A console is not a PC. You know, the more powerful console isn't going to make the games load faster. They're not going to make the games run better, right? It's because they all are developed the same exact way for essentially the same platform, so they're going to be pretty much the same on either side. You know,
I would really be interested to see what the developer kit OS is like, the UI before it, you know, gets the bloatware and stuff.
So yeah, that's my opinion on the console wars, man. They're stupid. You're gonna pick the platform where your friend plays. You know, now you won't even have to do that for much longer because everything's gonna be cross-platform. So it doesn't matter, man. What the moral of the story is: buy a PC. Buy a PC. Download World of Warcraft and join the online adventure.
Don't do that part. Future-proof your PC, man.
Not even. There's no such thing as future-proofing in the PC world, right?
I think there's a ceiling. We've talked about this before, where you can, because we were talking about, like, if I upgraded to a Ryzen 9, then there's no point for me to upgrade for quite some time, depending on what the game and coding and like.
Here's a real question, right? And this is always my question of whether or not you should upgrade. Do you have any issues running any of the games that you have currently?
No, man. No, I don't have any issues.
This right now is the peak for what games have demanded from PCs, right? And it always will be, right? Every year it's going to get slightly more demanding. The games are going to be bigger. The games are going to be more detailed. It's going to be 8K coming up soon, right? Yeah. Until your PC gives you an issue for the thing that you're trying to do, it is the best PC you've ever owned.
Hey, listen, I can tell you about some of my music making PCs where I was just like, Fruity Loops is going to open today. I got a good feeling about this, guys. It never opened.
Where are we coming from? All right.
I really would like to see the developer kits for it, but at any rate, man, we'll see what this Xbox seminar is going to look like. And I played Call of Duty after you stopped playing, and because I really wanted to like immerse myself in it, and then I downloaded Warzone. I was playing on my own and stuff, and that's when I really decided, like, this is not really the game for me. It is extremely fast paced. And, you know, I don't know the people I'm playing it right now because no one I know is playing.
Sure.
So I don't know what they're saying or what they're doing. But like anyone else, I'm going to get it for content on this channel, and I'm going to play it, man.
So here's the issue with this Call of Duty. This is where it really went wrong. And I'm beating the deadest of dead horses right now.
You don't have to say it, buddy. Remember what your therapist said.
It's the skill-based matchmaking, man. It ruins experiences for, like, if we wanted to play together, right? I am in a higher elo bracket than you are, right? You're a brand new player on a brand new platform, have never played the game before, right? So you're on the lowest of the low, right? And it's not a knock against you, but you're just starting out, right? You would progress up fairly quickly. I'm confident in that, but you're on the same level as the 70-year-old dad who's trying to fucking, you know, play games with his kids because it's the only way he could, you know, have any sort of relationship with them in their life, right? Where they're just going to play 3 hours a week and that's it. The super, super casual, right?
Rest in peace, gaming with a dad.
Well, you know, it happens. And I was on the other side where, you know, Black Ops 4, I master procedures to the highest level you could get, like, before the new year, right? Like, I'm in the opposite bracket. And for us to play together, you either have to rise up to my level or I have to lower to your level. And both of them ruins the experience for one of the players, right? Yeah. if I'm playing against people who don't know how to shoot back 24/7, it gets boring, right? Like winning that much gets boring, and not having any sort of level of competitive in a competitive game. But then when you can't move without dying, that also sucks on both ends, and that's why skill-based matchmaking is awful.
You know what, man? I know it becomes boring really quickly, but the question is how quickly. Like, if I'm better at someone at something, I'm just like, like it's fun for at least 12
but
rounds,
like,
and then it's not fun anymore.
Dude,
like,
you know how long is it fun to out grapple an 8-year-old, right?
Oh, it never stops being fun. That look in their eyes when they realize how weak they are, you're just like, this is
no, but like no, you know, it's fun for a while, and it's fun to do every once in a while, right? Like pub stomping is a lot of fun, you know, a few hours a week.
What?
Pub stomping, public match stomping,
yeah.
just murdering people, right? That's fun. But like it's also fun like once a night, twice a night. And then really the fun is if you get in a game that's slightly competitive or that someone's doing something different, that's different. But I don't want to have to, you know, 24/7. If I logged into Modern Warfare right now, I am fucking playing against like people who are like crackheads when they shoot. It's just like they see everything, they play everything, and it's just not always fun. You know, yeah. I like competition in games, but there's a time and place for it. I like slaughtering things in games, but there's a time and place for it, right? I'd like a happy medium.
Yeah, I mean that's why you just go ahead and play Rainbow Six. It's the greatest game ever made.
Oh, one of the most toxic games ever made, and you know my opinion on toxic games.
Listen, you know what's toxic? Being a protester out in Colorado, and then a strange van pulls up to you, grabs you, and says,
"You in Portland?
Portland? Is it Portland?
Yeah, it's not Colorado.
Same
it's
thing.
Oregon."
Listen, in case you don't know this about me, all these other places outside of the great state of New York, where we
don't matter
to
after Canada.
After Canada,
they kicked us out. Actually,
they don't matter. But yeah, so we got some interesting stuff going on with the federal agents. They're actually the feds themselves. People were saying, military soldiers as well. I don't know. I'm trying to dig to the bottom of this, but as far as I can discern, it's the feds, and they're grabbing people up.
From what I've seen, yep, unmarked. Yeah. They're not, you know, announcing themselves or giving you any sort of information. They're just coming and grabbing people and then throwing them into the fucking van and taking them off to some unknown place.
So this is where you start to get to the point of like, I beg for consistency from people who would qualify themselves as progressives and liberals. I'm like, hey man, you got to be, if you're, you know, you got to be consistent here. You got to look at it there. This is one of those things where I would look at conservatives and I was like, so here we are constantly talking about the Bill of Rights. We're already talking about, you know, our precious freedoms. And This is a clear violation, right? This is a clear violation of those freedoms, especially if you're being denied due process within the state, within the country. So everything I'm about to say is speculation. I'm not one of the people that get grabbed up. But you're supposed to be, your charges are supposed to be explained to you, what you're possibly being taken in for. You're supposed to be taken somewhere where you can, and this is where it gets really wonky because that's just with the police, right? So there's
but I also believe that the police have to identify themselves as what form of agent or whatever organization that they're from, right?
So that it depends. This is where we start getting into these gray areas. So I think the feds have to identify themselves.
The police definitely do. Police definitely do.
Yeah,
the feds definitely do.
I'm not sure how it goes in regards to your legal rights once you're in custody, depending on what agency picks you up. So this is just weird. This is just weird, man, because we're talking about American citizens, and no matter how you describe it, like, so I need people to understand what a real anarchist is versus some confused kid that's picked up a banner and a slogan, right? A real anarchist is out there, not even really out there. They're behind the scenes causing this type of drama, causing this type of trouble and strife. The people that are being picked up, man, might not know their right foot from their left foot. And it's scary to see this type of stuff happen in America without due process, without the Miranda, you know, because it sets this weird precedent, man. It's like, what's happening in this country right now? So this is not the most articulate argument I've ever made, but I'd be willing to debate any conservative that was willing to come on this show how this is 100% un-American by their standards. I'm not even going to argue what my standard of America is. I'm going to show you what your widely accepted standard of how things are supposed to be happening in America, how this is absolutely wrong and it's unjustifiable, especially since we're talking about American citizens. And in this instance, we're talking about non-combatant, non-armed protesters.
Peaceful
We're not
protesters.
even if they're burning down a building, that is for the local police to deal with. It's not for federal agents or quite possibly the military.
Yeah, they look very militant.
Am I making sense? Like, can you see how that's a huge inconsistent problem? Like,
absolutely. And here's also the issue, right? This is what was happening in China it is happening in China during the Hong Kong protest. It would happen many places around the world during many different protests, right? Is that we see this here in America and go, that'll never happen here. That is despicable. That is something that would never happen here. We have a much better discourse than that. And then no, it is. Absolutely it is. The same thing with police officers and such running into civilians and then taking the civilian down and arresting them. It's the same thing that's happening all around the world. You know, it's crazy to me to think that the people in Hong Kong and the people in Portland, let's say, right, they do not communicate, right? At least police officers, I would assume, don't communicate unless there's some sort of weird social or fucking gathering, but they all act in very similar manners in very similar situations.
And it's already beyond the point of where, like, you know, if you'd have told me when COVID started that Ahmaud Arbery was going to happen, I'd have been like, you're crazy, because what's COVID? And then if you'd have told me that Ahmaud Arbery and COVID were going to lead into George Floyd, I would have said you're even crazier. Not that police brutality or unjustified killings couldn't happen anywhere, but if you'd have told me what the outcome of all these things happening at the same time was going to be,
I did not have that on my 2020 bingo sheet for sure.
No, like, for everyone to be locked in their houses to witness all these things happening concurrently has definitely had an effect. And then everyone starts coming outside again. And I thought the protests were dying down. Apparently, there's just not enough coverage by the media anymore, so it's still happening in places.
It's old news now. What does it matter?
Exactly. And that's the crazy thing about it. But what we're talking about here is we're talking about consistency. And, like, man, I don't know if this is a last ditch effort by Trump to drum up more support, because a lot of people think his campaign, his second term, is in real danger. I'm not sure I buy that, dude. I'm not sure I buy it at all. I think the Democrats, as per usual, are getting ahead of themselves. And they're going to politicize this as well. But this is something I don't think needs to be politicized. This is something that needs to be called out sincerely and said it needs to stop. It needs to stop now. The same way I would call out to protesters or anyone siding with Black Lives Matter and saying that the burning down of communities and personal and private property needs to stop. That needed to stop. It has to stop. But this most certainly needs to stop as well, because you're heading down a path that's like, we're heading down a path as a country that's pretty scary, dude.
Yeah, man, we're heading down a real divide, and I honestly don't think the country has ever been more divided than it truly is right now. Right? I know you don't like the group of Black Lives Matter, but the overarching message that, you know, that anti-police brutality and
100%
to say that, you know, there are other people in this country than the protected classes, right?
Yeah.
You know, that is really the core of what the most of the hashtag Black Lives Matter means. And that's what most people think of it as. And that's super important. I just want to note that, because there was a difference between the movement and the organization. There we go.
100%.
The country definitely right now has never been more divided, right? I don't know if Hillary being in office, if Bernie being in office, if Trump being in office would have squashed any of this, right? But this stuff probably would have still happened in the same circumstances. But really what we needed was a leader that has empathy, like could show empathy, and would come out and say, hey, you know what, you know, Black lives do matter. You know, there's a systemic racism, you know, all across the country, and that needs to be worked on, right? That would have fucking stopped, I bet you, 90% of the protest. Right. And
just acknowledgement is what you're saying.
Acknowledgement and showing empathy and showing that, you know, there is something wrong and that we do need to work on it. Right. And moving along that path would have, you know, done a lot of things instead of coming out in support of fucking Goya beans. Like, that's what we could have done. You know what? You know who for a fact would have done and handled this better? Obama would have, for sure. right? Because he was a better orator. He was a better
politician,
better statesman, a better politician, and is a man who showed empathy. You know, did we briefly cover the fact that was it Martha Trump or whatever, the niece of Donald Trump wrote that book, and it was really eloquent, and I read a passage from it, you know, talking about how that
extremely intelligent woman.
Yeah, she seems very intelligent, and reading a passage that really explains why Trump has no empathy and such, and it makes a lot of sense. But that's not something we need in a politician who's going to run the country, who is in charge of, you know, dealing with these protests, essentially, right? And you know, not squashing them, but acknowledging. And I don't know, man. We're being another dead horse here, but it really is so absurd. The fact that, again, comes out in support of Goya fucking beans, fake fucking Mexican food that isn't real, right? It's all, most of it's pretty good, not gonna lie. I like the fucking Goya beans.
I was gonna say, how dare you? That stuff is gold sometimes.
Some of it's very good, but it's still fake Mexican food. It was made in the U.S., right?
But here's the thing about that, right? So there's I don't know, I meant to bring this up to you the other day. I was going to send it to you. So the Bodegas Association in New York, it's about like
oh my God, I didn't know they had an association, dude.
This
I hope that was a joke, because that's hilarious.
No, this is a real thing. They came out in support of the not Trump, but in support of the owner of Goya. Now we're talking about we're talking about very deep roots to the Latino community, Puerto Rican, Dominican, El Salvadorian, and I think some instances Mexican community in New York as well. And they came out in support of the Goya the company, not even the owner. And they were like, you know, for years we're talking about a company that has paid relief to certain countries and provided services. And I think what you and I are always talking about is there is, at the root of all the partisanship, there's an actual truth that we need to get back to, that some of these things are good and some of them are inherently flawed. And Trump is not only the result of an inherently flawed system, he's someone that knew how to take advantage of that. He absolutely knew how to take advantage of that. And that's why, like, I think he's not going to lose again.
I don't think he is, man.
I, you know, me and Zach going to be watching the apocalypse from my house with the popcorn on the roof. I will shoot anyone that comes on the property after November 6th. I'm
thinking
we're not going to be able to leave our houses. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're still all going to be here, but it's absurd. One of the states just came out and said that everyone can do absentee ballots this year without any issues. Arizona, Alabama, one of the A states, I believe. Arkansas, Arkansas doesn't count. So yeah, one of those states. But yeah, we'll be watching it. We'll be keeping an eye on it. We're gonna do a
24-hour show. I'm taking a day off. We're hopefully by then we'll be able to live stream on YouTube, but we're going on Zach's Twitch channel, taking that thing over.
Don't tempt me, man, because I could do a 24-hour stream and just talk bullshit the entire time. But if we do that, we have to do a portion of it where we do a tier list of fast food, because I swear to God that would take 8 hours with us. We would have conversations about. We should do that as a video, actually. Now that I'm thinking of it, but yeah, man, Man, it's really hard for me to support a president who comes out in support of a known sex trafficker before he comes out in support of his own people, right? The people who are hurting and have been in these systematic, poorly developed, undereducated areas, and comes out in support of Ghislaine. What the fuck? How do you say that name? Ghislaine Maxwell? The fucking
Ghislaine.
Sure, the human sex trafficker facilitator for Jeffrey Epstein
conciliary.
Right, yeah, you said conciliary before. That's a good word. He comes out in support and says that he's met her a few times and that I hope she does well. It is so disgustingly absurd to me that he could say that but can't say, hey man, we acknowledge the Black Lives Matter movement and come out in support of that. It's disgusting is what it is.
Here's the thing I cannot understand. I do not understand why he thought that was a good idea, and I don't understand the context. Like, it's like, if
I could tell you why, but go ahead.
Good. Please, I concede. If you can help me get to sleep tonight, please explain it to me.
Because in his head, she'll never be in trouble for the things that she's up for, right? She'll either die or get away scot-free. so it doesn't matter to him, right? And this is just another thing that he says, right? It's just another 30-second news cycle. Hey, comes out in support of the sex trafficker. All right, on to the next thing, right? Like that's essentially is what it is. Is the things that he says aren't scrutinized, aren't taken really into consideration by anyone other than, you know, people who have a sensible amount of intelligence, right?
Right.
And he sees her probably as a friend, right? And as a potential ally. That's why what he says, it doesn't matter, because he's so full of himself that anything he says is gold anyway. So
The crazy thing about her situation right there, and I think that was completely accurate what you said. The crazy thing about this though is, right, so we're touching the closest guys like us and the general public will ever see to the inner workings of evil here on Earth. I do believe in a different manifestation of evil that goes along with my worldview. I believe there are things more insidious that drive the world, but this is getting there, right? So we're talking, if we just examine Epstein and what it takes to have come into the money that he came into, whatever he did to get the money off of that other dude, that's scary. And then, and then for him to have been where he was for so long, and I'm being vague because I think everyone should do their own personal research on it, and then to his demise in prison, which basically, hey, by the way, whatever happened to all those hearings and court trials, right? So no big deal. Dude
exactly.
died.
It's dude. Here's the issue, right? Is we're looking at like people who were friendly with the elite of the elite, right?
Yes.
The people who fucking run multi-billion-dollar corporations, like the people who are in power in different countries, and princes and kings and you know, political figures. And there were, you know, cameras in every single room of his island, and he caught so many people doing disgusting things because he was able to facilitate and harbor sex slaves, right?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know where to begin on the fact that he was murdered, right? Mm-hmm. And this woman should fear for her life. Maxwell, I'm going to call her from now on. Maxie, you know, since we're on a first name basis. They are going to get to her too, right? Yeah. If you have enough power to cover up, I don't even know, I bet you thousands of hours of high level people and elites, I will call them, you know, doing acts with underage people, right? If you can cover that up before a fucking, you know, a international government agency sanctioned raid on that island, then there is no way that Epstein didn't get murdered, and this woman is probably had the same fate.
Yeah. It's like you serve the vices of the elite for so long. It's like they're going to help protect you to keep feeding their vices, their appetites for those type of things until they don't need you anymore. But I'm sure, like you said, he had some dirt on all of them. And so now here we have it. So what her involvement, you know, she was his counselor for years. It actually turns out that she was his ex-lover and girlfriend for a while.
Sure. She was the known sex trafficker, right? Yes. She was the one that was harboring recruiter and harboring all of these fucking poor people.
Access to his financial files.
Probably the only other person in the world with access to his financial files, potentially. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, other than the group we're going to talk about here in a second.
Sure.
And the crazy thing is, especially for Trump to wish her well, so there's speculation, and that's all we have at this point. But you know, there are the pictures of Trump and Epstein at whatever event it was.
Multiple events, and
they were just piling it up. Yeah, I don't get that, man. Politically, as a political animal, and I think this is why he does so well, is because people for some reason resonate with his. I don't know. I kind of almost threw up in my mouth a little bit there. People resonate with his ability to be so uncouth and just say things, and it's like, well, that doesn't matter, and they just turn a blind eye to other things. But this was just an idiotic statement from someone that's supposed to be a political animal, and I think that's the only thing that's different about him, is that he's not a politician. He's just a sleazy businsemman, and I guess I think
awful really businessman at that, to be fair.
Yeah, yes, 100%. I think he just understands I think like Epstein, he's one of those people that understands how people work, and those type of people always thrive in situations because they know what you're looking for before you even know what you're looking for. This chick, if she doesn't die in custody, that's going to be an amazing thing.
for the world. But here's the issue, right? Is Epstein wasn't the only one and isn't the only one acting as this kind of, man, I don't even know what I want to call him. He's not the only person doing this, right?
No, absolutely.
There are many other Epsteins and probably ones that have more power than he did, right?
Higher and lower,
higher and lower. And he just happened to be the one that got caught. I don't even know how that all went down. The crazy thing to me is I don't know if you've ever seen the footage of this of the before and after of his island before the raid and after the raid. So there are pictures of like overhead, like aerial pictures of like you could see through the windows and see computers, right? And like see all sort of stuff. And then like pictures right before the raid happened where the fucking island is desolate. Right. There are no computers left. There are no like anything left within the island. And they had gotten all that stuff out before they got a raid. They were tipped off that a raid was happening. Like this stuff is all covered up and, computers destroyed and hard drives destroyed. And I'm sure it's backed up somewhere. I'm 1,000% positive of that. But dude, it's so crazy to me is how deep the Epstein stuff honestly really goes. And to imagine there is someone out there who is like, twice as powerful of Epstein and no one's ever heard his name.
Yeah, and that's the scary part, to think that there are people that are able to facilitate that type of thing, just like there are people that are able to facilitate 9/11, and it doesn't take much. That's the crazy thing. Like as our infrastructure grows and technology grows, you assume that these things become more high tech, but evil is evil, man. It doesn't take more than the willfulness of other people to do the bidding of an evil person. That's all it really takes is a few well-placed people to do what you want to do. And so that brings us to the federal judge. What is this?
Before we get into that, do you know?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you know who Ghislaine Maxwell's like? You know what her background is?
No, what is it, please?
I believe her father, Robert Maxwell, is one of the original. Man, I want to say, what was the Israeli CIA?
Prime Minister?
No, Mossad.
Mossad? Yeah,
he was one of the original guys in Mossad, and I believe he was also one of the people who had set up really the actual state of Israel and had a part in that. And he was an insider, right? And that's the life that she comes from.
Yeah, it says here Ian Robert Maxwell, MC, was a British media proprietor, member of parliament, suspected spy, and fraudster. Yeah.
That's where her background comes from. Is she was raised in a socialite elite family, right? And that's where she comes from. And that's why she was able to facilitate a lot of these things.
It's weird, man. I remember one of the jobs I was doing in the city. I was dropping a client back off to his home, and I got two versions of the story, but they usually pay me back my expenses right at the end of the night or the end of the week. And normally it was totally cool. I would come up to the castle, and they would your receipts, please, and give me back my my poor person's money. I take my crumbs and be happy with them.
Sure.
But this night they were like, "Hey, we're just gonna send it down in the envelope. Send him up in the elevator, and we'll see you tomorrow." I was like, "Okay, that's weird." Yeah, because they were, but not weird because they were hosting guests. I'm totally cool with that. But when I talked to him the next day, and I always take it with a grain of salt. He was like, "Yeah, there were a bunch of people up there that wouldn't have liked to see a person of your complexion walking into the house during their dinner party." And the race thing, that's neither here nor there. I always wanted to know who was up there.
Yeah,
I always wanted to know. I just wanted to know who was up there.
Like David Duke himself was up there.
And he's just like, "Well, y'all listen here. I enjoy as a good crab cake." I assume that's how David Duke sounds. I've never heard audio tapes.
I haven't either, but holy shit, that's funny.
Okay, so as we go deeper and deeper down that, man, I'm starting to get a little scared, a little anxious down.
I love this. This is, dude, we can go deeper, man. This is all the shit that
we should have had Mears on here for this, man.
We definitely can.
We should get Mantis back on. So how do you pronounce this poor woman's name? Where is it? It is yeah.
The judge?
The judge, Salas. I forget her first name.
Esther?
Yeah, Esther Salas, man. this is a crazy situation. So she was set up, the long and short of it, to be the judge. What the fortnight? Oh, okay. She was set up to be the judge that's going to go over and prosecute the bank that the Epstein was involved in, that was like laundering the money and helping other insidious people launder money and keeping their funds hidden. And the other night, July 19th in New Jersey, a gunman shows up to her house pretending to be a FedEx driver, shoots her son, kills him, then critically shoots her husband, who's still, last time I checked, still not in a good way, in critical condition, but couldn't find her. She was held up in the basement. But intriguing about this is like that she's involved in the entire Epstein thing, and she was not involved like peripherally in a small way. A judge that was going to be hearing the case against
his finances, right? Against his finances.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then they find. So at first, there wasn't much information on the shooter. That's all they had, and the conspiracy theories ran deep. They caught up with the guy. So this is where I believe the story, but the spin is too easy, right?
Okay.
So apparently, this guy that and I'm not going to say his name. You got any of our listeners, you can look him up. Apparently, he was an anti-feminist, and he was also a small claims lawyer. He had filed many lawsuits against people over the years who were feminists, and pushing back against what he thought was the feminist right, infringing on the rights of men and stripping us of our manhood one peg at a time. And he had filed many suits against her. I believe, if I understood that correctly. And so that's how that went down. So subsequently, he finally got her address, showed up to her house. After years of being around doing this type of stuff, he finally found it. He had also been recently diagnosed with terminal cancer as well, and decided to go out in a bang. And
wow,
yeah, and so that just seems. All right, folks, listen. Put your tinfoil caps on. Right? Does that not seem like the cover story was like even as a plant, that seems too convenient? Like this guy has
very convenient.
This guy has been, he is 100% the gunman, but it's like, how easy would it have been to turn and flip someone that was already against this woman, to give him just as the Joker said in The Dark Knight, give him a little push,
Yeah.
Give him a little push. And I there were some other situations that some of my friends put me on to, like where there was some other stuff going on, but like, yeah, I think this is going to be one of those situations where anyone that touches it, anyone that's near it, weird stuff like this is going to keep happening.
Again, it's what do you deal with the political elites like this? And I know from experience with dealing with all my political elites, it is, you walk a fine line between randomly dying and succeeding in becoming a billionaire, right? Yeah. And there has been politicians and judges and journalists that have all got the wrong side of this, and this guy was just clearly just a pawn in the game of making sure that these people either die or don't succeed, right? And that's unfortunately where this stuff has gotten. And it's if you know anything about political discourse in many of the countries around the world, including our own, that some people die for the causes, for the effects, for whatever reason. And this will be the way that it happens forever, and it'll be the way that it has happened forever, right? Even back to Caesar with a knife in his back.
Oh, man. Historically, what they did to that poor guy in Brutus, man, like, it's obviously no one can prove any of this stuff. I think the show Rome had the best spin on it, where Brutus was basically turned by his own mother and the rest of the Senate. Horrible to think that that's how that went down. If you haven't seen Rome, I don't want to give it up much more than that. But yeah, I 100% agree with you, man. Like, so here's the crazy thing about this. There's another element to this too. So before we found out who the shooter was, this woman's husband, the judge, he's also a defense attorney. So people were speculating, was it some case of someone, retribution for something he didn't do or may have done. But that's where we're at with this whole thing, man. And it's crazy because when I think about other stuff, you brought up the press, it brings me back to that poor guy, the reporter for, I believe it was the Post, that was killed by the Saudis. Remember, he was in the consulate and they chopped him up.
And they and there's a recording of that somewhere, and I've not been able to find it.
It's a recording that was done by his watch, his Apple Watch of all things. and upload it to the cloud
of him literally getting chopped up and dismembered and taken out in briefcases and distributed amongst the fish, I guess, you know. That one's bad. There's obviously the one that had dirt on the Clintons, the guy from DC that was labeled a suicide with 2 bullets in the back of his head.
That's very common.
Many times that people commit suicide with 2 bullets in the back of the head. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It always will be when you're dealing with these people who have so much power that, you know, essentially anyone will look up to and listen and admire, really, right? The same thing happens in fucking Hollywood, right? Same thing happens in you know, top tier and beyond musicians, right? Like all of this stuff happens in the elite of the elite, including politics, including whatever. So you know, it's disgusting, it really is, but
it's the big fish little fish syndrome, and like, you know, that insidious web that leads up to power. This is the thing I really want to focus on here. So someone said something on that show I like to watch, The Hill, Rising in the Morning, and I like to watch those guys because one is a new age conservative, and the other one is a progressive. So you get this kind of bipartisan opinion, and you just get the facts on things. You know, they like to report facts, and then they'll give their opinions. But he was talking about something that I really thought was interesting, which is that once judges start getting killed, right? Once we start killing I don't want to call them the underpinnings of the blocks of a democratic society. But if you think about when you go back to when they outlawed liquor, right? And the mob was at its highest, they were able to run around and do things that were just unheard of. And now we're almost back in that same place where it's like, if a judge can be killed, someone that's supposed to be not saying that they are, the representation of rule and law, and they can so easily be killed, something's gone drastically wrong. And once again, we're back to my favorite term. It's friggin' scary. It's friggin' scary.
I forget whose quote it is, but it's no one's too big or too small to get killed. Absolutely. You know, I don't remember whose quote it is. You know, I'm probably butchering the quote, but it's essentially true, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it's very scary and very, very, very weird to think about.
Yeah. Comment below. Let us know your best Epstein, if you feel comfortable. if you feel comfortable, let us know what you think. And then to end the night on a much higher note, like the darkness that exists here. Take me through this, Zach. What is happening right now? This guy's having a midlife crisis. What's going on?
So Logic announced that he's coming out with his last album. Right. No Pressure, I believe is the name of the album. It's coming out this week, I think. And he just decided that he signed a multi-million-dollar exclusive deal with Twitch, and he's going to be Twitch live streaming as a full-time profession.
They gave him Doc's money. They got rid of Doc.
They gave him all of Doc's money and Ninja and Shroud's money. Absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
Have you ever tuned into his stream before?
Nope. It's probably still won't. Don't really care that much. Some of his music is good. Some of his music is not great. So
that's something I'm looking forward to our special guest this Friday, and I'm gonna hold him to the fire on that, because when someone tells me to go listen to someone's music, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go listen to it, but I'm gonna go listen to the whole catalog. And yeah, I think the best song that I heard from, I think he's on a song for the Suicide Squad soundtrack, where I thought his flow, I liked it there, and I like his content. I like the content of his flows. I don't like his cadence, so he lost me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
I don't.
Yeah, you're allowed to have that.
Yeah, but hey, man, good for him, man. How many millions we talking? Ones and twos of millions, or
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't seen the contract. These contracts tend to not get leaked until after they're up. Right. But I would be curious to see. He signed exclusively. 7-figure deal, Twitch says.
That's crazy, man. And here we get this, and I still don't know what happened to Mr. Guy Beam. It doesn't matter anymore. I guess it's old news,
dude.
Right?
Yeah, I'm beyond the hype, and I'm sure with our guest this week we'll talk about it again. But I Dude, I don't care anymore about what Doc does, what happens to Doc, where Doc goes. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, and I'll pretend to be excited. And you can remember this back to this day. I don't care. You know, I enjoyed and I respected Doc's content, but I didn't watch it. You know, let's be fair. You know, Logic, welcome to the platform of Twitch, my friend. It just legitimizes streaming a little bit more, which I'm always down for. Someone as big as Logic. Logic is a fairly large recording artist, was apparently. Now that he's retired after a decade. You know, it's good to know when the end is, right? Every good thing should come to an end. As far as I'm concerned, right? I wish Game of Thrones would have come to an end a little bit earlier, a few other things, but
whole season it could have came to an end earlier. I've read fan fiction that was better than the ending of that show, man.
Ew, you read fanfic? What a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, I read it and then I critique it. I'm like, hey,
you email him like, here's me, and here we go.
Crazy thing, right? About Twitch and all this stuff, man. I really do believe that in regards to a platform like Twitch and Facebook and YouTube, and when people pull in the cord on it, and if our infrastructure survives another 10 years, I think it's going to be a much bigger household platform. But I think we're going to start seeing the cap here pretty soon.
Really?
It's like, yeah.
We thought that with YouTube, man. We thought everyone thought that with YouTube, and YouTube continues to grow to this day.
I think YouTube has become more mainstream and popularized in that sense, but it's harder to become a YouTube mainstay.
No, right? It is way hard to become like a big YouTuber, but it becomes super legitimized when, you know, like movie stars, right, are becoming YouTubers now as like a backup. Will Smith has a YouTube channel and stuff, right? Like,
I do believe these people are gifted like 3,000 subs when they join the platform. Like,
dude,
almost.
Okay, okay. So let me explain to you something, right? When you have a 5 million person.
Did you just say let me explain to you something?
I said let me explain something to you.
No, you did. That
is exactly what I said. We can roll the tape back. Oh, that's exactly what I said. See, but these people have followings already. But they're not starting from nothing. They're not starting as us, right? We're not starting as a person who wants to upload fucking gaming videos and it turns into a podcast, right? They're starting as a person who is already a household name, so it becomes very easy for them to go. Like Jack Black, for example. Jack Black is a gaming channel on YouTube. It's hilarious. It's very funny, right? And it's just Jack Black being Jack Black, but he has a few million subscribers because he's Jack Black, and he has access to having Tony Hawk in his videos, having The Rock in his videos, right? Has access to all of this stuff. And
they're paying them to be on the YouTube channel, on YouTube. They're paying them 100%
to be in their videos.
No, they're paying these people to come onto the platform.
You know, that could be the case, but I'm actually honestly not sure.
Someone brought up an interesting thing. I quoted from the book of Zach the other day in a debate. Last time I'm going to do that or admit that. And someone was talking about something. I was like, I know this. Someone just explained this to me. I was like, Google makes a lot of money and their platform is in the $1 billion form. And they were like, actually, they lose a lot more money than they actually make. And I was like, I'm
on YouTube?
Yeah.
I would have to see the substantiating evidence of that. They make a lot of money through their Google AdSense and such. I don't think they lose much money on YouTube.
Oh, shout out to Desi Heat with the 51s in her stream right now. Good for you, man. Killing the game. I just looked over Twitch to see if there was any Logic stuff up yet, and I was like, I'm not. His
first stream went live at 8 p.m. tonight. So
really?
4 hours ago. Yeah, that's what the article said. I don't fucking know if it actually happened. I just read it. You know, I just read the article briefly. I was like skimming through like I do with all articles for the Talk with the Dad podcast. So.
Dude, have you cut the cable yet, or have you cut the cord yet for your cable TV? You don't even have cable, like the actual TV, do you?
I don't. No, everyone else, like my family does.
Tell them to get rid of that stuff, man. Go to DirecTV.
There is 0%. There is a 0% chance that happens, but okay.
Here's the big news. So HBO said, hey, you know what? We have one too many streaming platforms. Something's got to go. So they're getting rid of HBO Go's coming to an end.
Oh, why do they have 3? What? They have HBO Now, HBO Go, and HBO Max. I have HBO Max, admittedly. I like the platform. But I also really like a lot of the HBO content. Right, Sopranos is my favorite show of all time. I'm due to watch The Wire very soon.
amazing. Let me know when you start watching it, man. I want a reaction every video.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff on the HBO platform. It's good. Why the fuck do we have 3 streaming platforms?
I don't know. So HBO Go originally just started off as, I think it was supposed to, it should have said HBO Beta, because it was really horrible when it first started. Even no matter how good your internet connection was.
Sure.
I had Fios, for God's sake, and it was like,
I would fucking kill someone for Fios.
Oh, man, I gotta tell you, there've been a few moments in my life where I'm like, I've arrived, and when we had Fios, I was like, like my buddy came over to play games one day, and that was the first time he had seen 100 megabits down on any PlayStation. Right. But so they had HBO Go, and that sucked. And then they had HBO Now, which was supposed to be more exclusive, but which turned out to have the exact same content.
All of it,
yeah. You can get stuff earlier with HBO Now, hint, hint. And then now HBO Max is just literally everything.
Yeah. They have South Park too, dude.
Yeah, under the Warner Brothers, or it had been affiliated with Warner Brothers umbrella, it's all on there.
Dude, they have the entire series of South Park too. I didn't know this until now.
Yeah,
The Wire just got pushed back. I'm watching all of South Park.
They have most of the Adult Swim catalog. I think they're adding
everything. I think, yeah, dude.
Yeah,
HBO Max is a very, very good platform. I believe I'm quoted on this very podcast that I was not getting it. I was not subscribing to another HBO thing that's probably going to go away in 2 years. But man, I am fucking full in, and I really do enjoy it. Anything that has South Park, I would buy. So
I think Mathis is your spirit animal. As you're saying full in, he just went full in to play, and I just heard him over my over your voice. He's like, yeah.
He's been known to do that from time to time. So, Steve, you want to kick us out of the show this evening?
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another great episode of Talking with a Dad. Please make sure to check us out on all our platforms. That's Facebook, Talking with a Dad, IG, Talking with a Dad, and Twitter, Talking with a Dad, and our website, talkingwithadad.com. You can also find us on almost nearly all of your favorite podcasting platforms, most notably Spotify and Google Podcasts.
And Apple Podcasts.
And Apple Podcasts. Yep. Talking with a Dad, one word for Spotify. Or you'll find some other guys that you don't want to listen to because
those guys suck.
We hate those guys, and they know it. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you click that little bell alert. A lot of orders for guys needing your subscriptions, and make sure to share this with all your friends. Thanks for having us.